I want to thank everyone for being here, and I'm grateful, that you want to listen to my diatribes, and so that I should be grateful in itself for. And please understand that just a couple things I want to make a quick announcements about. One is the gathering is tomorrow. Tonight is the Healing Circle, if anyone's interested in being there. And I'll work with as many people as I possibly can, depending upon how many are there. And the appointments are awesome. Please do take advantage of them. Let's see. Every 2 weeks we'll be doing the Healing Circle, and every couple weeks we'll be doing also the mini course. Lynn, when is the next mini course? Do you have an idea?
2 weeks.
What you wrote me something, and I don't remember what it was.
It's on the 22nd, and we hadn't finalized the next one yet. There's a couple of choices, and we haven't made a decision which one yet.
Oh, the 22nd is the developing your prayer.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Either that, or we can do the timelines, either one. Whatever, we'll see. I think it's developing your prayer. And so that's for sure.
That sounds familiar, yes.
All right. And all the full courses, we're eventually going to take all these mini courses, and I'm going to be offering the mini courses as full courses that will last for 5 days, or excuse me, 4 days, an hour and a half a day, Monday through Thursday, and they will be available for replay. Whoever gets them, please do take advantage of them. They're pretty awesome, and they get very in depth. So I love them. They're exciting for me, and everyone is unique and different. And if anyone has any ideas of also of what they'd like for me to talk about pertaining to spirituality and healing, please, feel free, and to make a request, and I'll deeply consider it. So if anyone has anything, just let me know that they'd like for me to talk about or to turn into a course. I will gladly. All right, please. Pertaining to the scanning here, I would love to hear everyone's feedback on why this might be interesting to them, or what you're here for. I would just love it. Lynn is moderator, so I know why she's here, and excuse me, not moderator, but the hub of this internet stuff, and my hugest assistant, my only assistant right now in life. And so I'm grateful for Lynn's presence. And she's up in Canada, and she has a well that she pumps water and washes clothes and breaks ice to get it all going. And Patty, please.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Well, you want me to talk about the scanning?
Yes, please. Real briefly, everything.
Okay.
For everyone.
Well, I've learned from you for over 20 some years, but lately I have been using the scanning for long distance healing for family and friends.
Cool.
And it's awesome for me to be able to use that again a lot more than I have been.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. That's great. And, I can turn this scanning course into a huge course. And, but when I do turn it into a course, it'll only be for the 4 days, for the hour and a half a day. And there's a lot to it, just like there's a lot to timelines, there's a lot to prayer, there's a lot to, and I'm not talking about prayer as far as a religious connotation, but just every word, every thought, every action is our living prayer. With the scanning, it's unbelievable how extensive it can be. And, you know, as the days go by and as the weeks and the months and the years go by, there's so much more to it that develops. So, yeah, thanks for being here, Patty. Let's see, Michelle, please talk to me. Why are you here, hon? What do you want to get out of this? Or what do you think of scanning?
Mark, I get an hour of privacy when I dial in you. I live with 4 other people. So aside from that, I know that you know more than I do. So no matter what I've been doing
I don't know about that.
with regard to healing, thank you. We'll go with that. That I've been doing, I learned Reiki in 2000, and I learned a lot of things since then. But my distance work, I try and become them and feel their whatever. I don't stay them, not even for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So if you have a different way or a different approach, I'd certainly like to know about it. And anyway, for me, if I'm working on somebody and they have mental issues or physical issues, I just get a taste of that and then I jump out. And I get a sense when I'm done also.
Yes.
Like, stress is my favorite, but I always know when that's over, or I brought it down enough that they can function. And
yes.
So anyway, I'm anxious to hear or happy to hear what you have to say.
Awesome.
So that I can add that. Okay.
Yes. A little elaboration on that. We can't really be like anyone else. It's not possible because we have our own life, our own experiences, our own this, that, but we can relate to them. So it's most important, no matter what form of healing you get into, is to be indifferent. And that's what really, really matters, is that indifference. And it's not being cold when you're indifferent, it's being compassionate. And which is an aspect of that divinity, whatever we want to call it, God, Buddha, Yahweh, Muhammad, Christ, whatever. And it's a part of us to be indifferent, and then we get to perceive more realistically of what a person may go through without feeling their, when we're utilizing the scanning, when we're not feeling what they're feeling, because otherwise we would feel the pain, we would feel the anguish, we would feel all the things, dynamics that other people are feeling, and that's not possible, but we can see it. That is possible. And that's what we're going after when utilizing the scanning. We can see causes even at times. And not all the time, but oftentimes if I don't see a cause, I'm fine with it. You know, I say, okay, boss, you know, I'll just go on. And so, but we relate to people through pictures and identifications. And that's what we are doing when we're scanning and using. Whether I won't get into a lot of stuff because it's really advanced and it takes a large volume of time. I mean, it take weeks in discussions and understandings, but and the course will actually cover a chunk of that, but or give you the true basic understandings of where to go from there. But what we're doing is we're relating through pictures in our perceptions of what they're saying. And we get those pictures through identifications of our own experiences or our own anguishes that we've been through in life, if all this makes sense. Hopefully. All right, any questions about that little part before we go on here? Please, please. Anything? Yes, Ethel, please.
Just that we relate, it's like we somehow, our own experiences are utilized in relating to theirs. Is that what you just said? I'm confused.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
That's who we are, because we can't be them.
Yes, our own experiences are pertaining to what we've read, what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've witnessed in some way or another, or else we wouldn't be able to identify with anyone else in life. And so and it's not looking at it in a cold way. It's looking at it objectively and observantly, our own experiences. That's how we identify with someone else. And those experiences are pictures that we can, that we're a part of in our life, or else we wouldn't be able to relate to another person at all. It's just like someone coming up to us and saying the word "the." It makes no sense. But there's more to the sentence. There's more of what they're trying to express, even if they're not expressing it. We get to see little clips, little gibbets of understandings that they're saying, even in even when they're telling us something that we think is the of what they're saying. And they want us to perceive of it as a truth for them, but there's more to the story, and we might even see it through a little twitch of their finger. All of a sudden, a picture, while they're expressing to us, will come up in our mind. And so we're utilizing, I don't want to get too much into that, but we're utilizing the scanning in being conscious within ourselves, different from the being conscious in the world. Otherwise we're just listening to a story when we're conscious in the world and we're agreeing with them. But if we're taking a look objectively and observantly, if we can separate ourselves enough from ourself, then we get to see these little pictures, the little understandings in our mind. All right, go on a little bit here. Let me turn on my phone, darn. All right. Let's see, Mike, please, my dear friend, talk to me. Turn on your mic. Talk to, yeah, here we go.
You know, when you were just talking about I'm a nurse and I worked in the trauma unit for 15.5 years, and it reminded me of being with patients with severe injuries who
Yes.
were had some consciousness or maybe coming out of the worst of it or whatever, and I couldn't experience what they were, but I could have some understanding and empathy based on maybe if that was me there or whatever, and you know, just take myself out of the picture and figure what's the next thing I need to do to help this person, you know? And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, yeah, but that's what I thought about when you were talking about that.
Yes, yes. And that's true too. You know, because even in their delirium of coming out of the anesthetics, they're saying things that they've dreamt of, they've been a part of in their life, or that you know, is a projection that they haven't expressed.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be anesthesia. It could just be them getting to the point where they realize where they're at.
Yes,
and it's
exactly.
not a good place.
Yes,
So.
yes, yes. Very true. Very true.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. The Apprentice, she wrote, Mark, how do you feel about getting vaccines? I don't know. I personally haven't had one, my own personal choice, since I was a child. And it's just my thing. So I don't know. Let me see here. No, that's it for the messages. All right. So I don't know how to answer that. It's everyone's own preference. That's all I know. That's all I know. I don't ever try to talk anyone or into anything, even in the so-called spirituality. And you know, it's just my way. I love God. That's all I know. And so, and oftentimes I say, God bless you, God, when something happens. And it kind of chuckles and, you know, says, yeah, sure. All right, Mary, please talk to me, my dear friend. Say just a little bit, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you for offering this. I'm very interested in expanding my use of what I know, my background being Reiki and empathic healing, which I've done for over 20 years, and certainly the chakra
Yes.
balancing when anyone has asked me to work with them.
Sure.
But also tuning in at a soul level. So the scanning is I'm thinking, going to take me to a different level of knowing myself at my soul level, knowing my soul purpose, but tuning
Yes.
in into the person who I'm also working with. But for me, it's all about energy balancing. So however scanning can help expand that, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Oh, my pleasure. And the soul has a lot to do with this, a whole lot, and it's bringing us into situations all the time that we're here to recognize. Even it's funny because someone even wrote a post on Facebook. Let me see if I can find it real quick. A really good post, though. I really enjoyed it. And let me get out of here. Oh, here it is. Let me see here. Who was it? Oh, here it is. Someone, I answered them. Oh no, I can't find it, forget it. So in any case, don't take too long. But the soul, like when we're getting older, and it's on one of the Facebook posts, I talked about getting older, becoming, worried about things, thinking about things, commiserating, and all this other stuff, and going into these, forgetful moments of life. And I mentioned that it wasn't really I mean, it could be described in a lot of medical terms, for what our symptoms are showing, but that's not really what's happening in my understanding and experience. What's really happening to me is that we're becoming simpler and we're becoming clearer, and that's a form of maturity, but the soul is actually presenting it to us in remembrance. We're open for that, and the soul has room to present those stories that we've lived. But the soul is saying, okay, here's what you've worked out this life, even though you don't see it. You've had the experience of it. And so now we won't have to go back to it at another time in another place in potential futures or this life, but we don't know that. We just see it as, fascinating, going back to, stories of things that we haven't accomplished or whatever, but we have. Once we recognize those things and feel and we get the indication that they're worked because we've had the regrets. Now we know otherwise. So that's what the soul is sharing with us in reality. Does that make sense almost? Please, any questions about that? Anything? Anyone can conjure up a question about that? I know there's questions here.
So
Yes, Mike, please.
is it accepting who we are with all our good points and our faults, and realizing the faults aren't really faults?
Correct. It's just being a presentation to us.
Okay.
Nothing to be taken personal, but we don't know that because people don't tell us that. The world is learning that, and that's how the soul presents itself to us, though, when in our semi-conscious hours or subconscious hours, whatever. Make sense, Mike?
Maybe a little bit, yes.
See, basically, again, it's we're remembering these situations we've been involved with all of our lives.
Yeah.
And then we look back and say, and we kind of squirm inside. Say, damn, why did I do this? Or what did this happen? Or why didn't I react that way? Or whatever. And that's really when you're sensing that uncomfortableness, that's when, and we'll usually remember those versus a lot of good things, but the good things are good too. There's, the things that we've done, and others just didn't respond, or they could have, or they did, or whatever. But either way, even as we're feeling that uncomfortableness of all the memories of the things that we screwed up in some way or another, that's where the soul is letting you know that, okay, you experience that squirming inside because you know otherwise now, and you won't have to remember that again. The soul is really interesting, and it shares with us unbeknownst to us. But we don't know that, so we take it personal, and we carry the regrets. And so actually that's a part of scanning too. We get to perceive of those things in other people because we have those things ourselves in many, many ways. And so we can empathize with them, but not taking their things so seriously, but we're seeing it in ourselves. And that's one aspect of scanning that's a whole different world. And I really don't want to get into now. It's very, very advanced, and it takes a lot to go into that world. And in the course, the full course that will be offered, I won't go too deeply into that either, but I'll give more understanding of that a little bit. Please, Ethel, please.
So the things that we don't squirm about are things that we are more likely to carry forward because we don't recognize them?
Well, the things that we don't squirm about are attributes generally. That the soul has fulfilled this time, that you don't have to go more into anymore. And we won't have to keep getting the backlashes of them in the soul experience. I love the soul. I love it. And so it's
That would be an interesting course on itself.
Sometimes. I don't know. Have to think about that one. Sue, my friend. Yay, Sue's here.
I guess I always thought of scanning is to find disruption of energy flow.
Yes.
Not so I don't get any pictures. So I was at first wondering, but you've talked a lot about it, so I think it's helped. Whether you can get the same purpose when working with somebody is to jump right into a modality and just let God do it, or
Yes.
scanning first.
Yes, all these things that I'm talking about are letting God do it, or what source or creator, nameless one, whatever you want to call it. And it's all about that, really. And that's the basic and what you're talking about. But the basic stuff is what leads into everything else as we put ourselves into the basic.
Mm-hmm.
So the basic is everything.
Yeah.
And the deeper we go into the basic, the greater we start to perceive the things unbeknownst to us. And it's being able to catch those things that we're perceiving, knowing that there's more, but not knowing what it is. As long as we don't know, that's what matters.
And it has really helped me in the past, and I've been more conscious of doing the scanning. But thinking of it as moving light or going through light rather than that glass thing that you used to say. When you scan, you move the glass. That,
Yes.
For years, I never got it. But when you said changed it to light, then at least it
Yes.
can compete.
When I'm scanning, yeah, good point. And when I'm scanning, I always imagine, and I taught this in Chicago in the old days too, that when I'm scanning down a person, say the arm is here, I'm 3 to 5 inches away from the person's surface of their skin. And both my hands are going down 3 to 5 inches away from it. And I'm totally allowing my mind to accept that there's like a thin sheet of glass, like a wave of glass,
Oh.
really thin. What's it?
Light.
What did I say?
The last class you said light, and that helped
Yes.
me.
That thin sheet of glass is light, and that's what it is. And it's really light, and it's going to come down as I come down. I'm imagining, imaging in action, that light is going to stop or slow down as it begins to feel where the source of the irritation or dynamic that's not that is the cause of whatever their situation is. And I'll scan and scan and scan and scan down. It gets heavier or more bulky, or it gets a lot more vibration, as you might call it, or heat or cold for the other person or whatever. I just feel it as an energetic. I don't even feel it those other things anymore like I used to in many years prior. I just know it's energy, because all the other things that they're talking about, the heats, the colds, vibrations, electricities, staticky stuff, or whatever, is just an effect. So it's all energy, really. It's the energy of the light. And it's telling me that there's an aberration there, that there's something that's not in sync there. That's all that matters to me. And so as I'm scanning down, I feel it getting more and more. Like Michelle, on your my right, your left elbow, has it been tender or sore? Not at all, huh? What about your right one? Okay, all right, that's fine.
No complaints, just wrinkles.
That's fine. All righty. Let me see here. Su Xian, what about you? Pressing right into, I don't know if you can see, it's right next to the elbow bone.
Yes, uh-huh. I was just pressing on there.
And it's tender, is that correct?
Uh-huh.
All right. I'm not suggesting, Michelle, that you're going to have this happen. I knew it was on the left side of my screen, one's above the other. So I apologize. And so, and that was scanning. It's what scanning is, basically, is in my head, this is my experience of it, and only one way I can relate. It's one way I can relate, is that I don't know what's happening, and I'll look to see where the inside of my head, not physically. The eyes are for the physical world. The other eye inside is a perception of how we want to utilize it. And this is one form of scanning. See, it's a whole world of stuff that we can get into with every little thing. So my perception is I have to not know. And that's the key to it all. You don't know. And through not knowing, I'll see it. I imagine, image in action, that there's like a blank inside. And I wait for something to come to me. I don't think the answer. I'm not thinking it. I let it come to me and express itself. And there's like a swirl inside my head. And as it calms down, inside of that swirl are pictures. Or I get to see or I get to hear something in those swirls. And I teach this a little bit more in the course. But, and many people here can relate to what I'm expressing. So, in this swirl, I'll get an understanding through my knowing. if that makes sense. I'll get an understanding will come to me in my knowing. And that's why I can blatantly say or arrogantly say, all right, it wasn't Michelle, but it was Su Xian, and who had this in the elbow, because I felt, I perceived through my knowing that there was a tenderness here in the elbow. And so those are the kind of things we can perceive. And I like to not go into the psychological stuff so much with y'all now. Again, that's really advanced stuff that we develop into as we practice doing this, finding the things that might be a deterrent in the person's life, or an aberration in the person's life, where it's out of sync in some way or another. We can wonder, and that's what it's about, is wondering what this is. Then we're not thinking what it is. We're letting it come to us. We're not creating something or making something up. Does this make sense? Please, please.
If you keep it on a truly just energetic level, then you can go back and rescan, right? To see if you've changed and if anything has changed with your treatment.
What we're doing.
Questions usually.
I'm sorry? Yes, with questions. Yes.
Yeah.
And simple questions like, well, how is this now? But we won't get into the healing part of this now. That's a whole thing. But we can go back, yes. And see, what we're doing is as we're conscious of knowing that someone is experiencing being distraught in some way or another, or out of sync in some way or another, we can actually, in that time, what's happening is we can hone in on that by scanning down and coming to that area, and then working with the healing. And the scanning will share with us a person's, not only the emotional, we won't get into now because there's no time for that, but with the physical, we know where they're feeling injured or hurt or out of sync or something. And we can actually talk to that in some way or another. And that's what we're really doing when we're scanning. We're coming up to an area, but we can learn how to talk to that.
So,
and then it will kind of dissipate as you have a heart-to-heart with that distraught area. Without even touching them. Go ahead.
With the scanning, do you sometimes get different sensations like wind, heat?
Those are just effects. Those are just, I don't go for the effects.
Don't go.
In the old days I used to, because I was still learning to develop this even more and more and more. The effects don't matter to me anymore. Even feeling the energetics don't matter to me. When I'm scanning like this on a person, or in my mind, which I won't go into, but when I'm scanning like this, then I'll get images, because I've learned to develop that. Everyone can do that. Everyone can do that if we're allowing ourselves to be open to letting it share with us versus, thinking of what it is or that we're in control. Because I know that I'm not in control. I'm allowing the divinity to be more in control. Does that make sense, Sue, almost?
Yeah. I'm not there. That makes sense.
We're more there than we realize.
Huh?
We're more there than we realize. And we actually do these things where, say, when we're in a group of people, and then all of a sudden we get a bad feeling about something, or we feel yucky all of a sudden, and we're perceiving information, but we don't have to go into that dynamic that we can change it immediately if we choose, and by knowing it's not a part of us, it never has been. But we don't know where it's coming from necessarily, or we may not even care where it's coming from. It's just not a part of us. All right, Ethel, please talk to me, my dear.
No, it's making more sense to me. It's like you use the scanning to identify, and then the healing comes.
It's a part of it.
Part of it.
Yes. It's a part of it, yes. We're using it to identify, yes. And as we identify with it, it starts to take over in different ways. As we still focused on the indifference, where there's no attachment to anything.
Mhm.
That's why the path of least resistance is the greatest.
In my healing work, which in the past has been Reiki, I've always gotten these pictures, and this helps me understand it and
Yes.
kind of separate it from that modality and
Good.
recognize it as this other, which I didn't. As we've been working together, I've started to realize that. I've started
Yes.
to see where the pictures come in.
Yeah. We have an appointment at 1:30 today, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good. My time.
I'm in
All
your
right.
time.
My
I'm in
time.
golden.
All right. Sushian, please, any questions, or can you relate to what we're talking about, Han? Are you here?
I can relate. I'm just listening. I'm just being
Okay.
curious.
All right, good. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Totally?
Uh-huh.
Good. Thank God. Prachi, hi, my dear friend. How are you, Mahan?
Hi, Mark. I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you. Very well. Does this make sense to you, and can you relate to it?
Yes, I surprisingly can relate to it despite having no experience, but I've never scanned. I actually know nothing on this subject, but I do know that without even knowing anything, I am very intuitive, and I do get
Yes.
weird messages, even though I'm not thinking about things. It could be global issues, it could be personal, it could be something very random, and then I'm like, okay, but this just came to my mind. So
Yes.
there is power somewhere
Yes.
that comes to us, and
Yes.
I guess there might be some sort of a methodology to tap into it.
Yes, there is. I teach more of it in the course. I highly recommend it for you too, as being intuitive as you are. But the neat thing is, when we get these things in our objectivity, in our indifference, that's when it becomes more true. But even as I get these things, whether it be in immediate perception when I'm working with a person in scanning, or whether it be a vision about something, a potential future, or something about a person that they may have been through something, I always question myself. I always say, tell me more, or show me more. And as I learn to do that, even in scanning, it becomes a little more real. And if it's not real, it will kind of fizzle away. It won't share anymore with you.
Got it.
Good. Good. Please, any questions about this? This was good. I love this class. I loved it. Please, Patty.
Hey, Mark. I now realize that there are other healing people here from other modalities.
Yes.
And I guess I want to say again, you're the best teacher because you keep it simple, and
I don't know about that.
you number one, you teach, you don't have to take anything on. And I've been with healers that take on the illness. But again, and I think you teach, if you become like a little child in awe and wonder, put your hands there and say, go ahead, God, go ahead, boss. It's not me anyways. That is so easy. And that's what you've always taught. And if anybody learning listens to exactly what you're saying, the simplicity of it is amazing. And those pictures will come to you very easily, or they won't, or they'll fizzle out. But if anybody listens to exactly what you're saying, put the hands there and just step back, it all happens very easily.
Yeah, and if you're trying these ways that I'm expressing, and you don't add anything that you've ever learned before to them, you'll see it's most immediate. And you won't have to go through gyrations or ringing bells or doing incense or singing something or someone else's mantra or whatever. You'll see that just try this a few times and see what happens from it. And it's too simple. And then after you've had the experience of it, then you'll find ways over experience of time, you'll find ways to incorporate what you know with it. And it turns into a really fantastic dynamic. You know, no matter what way it is, as long as you know that this is like too simple, that's all that really matters. Then you can incorporate it with something else, because there's something for everyone out there. There's nothing incorrect, unless it's harming people purposefully. But then, you know, we're doing that to ourselves. So you can incorporate these things with anything, with any modality. I don't care if it's Bach flowers or empathetic healing or whatever. You can incorporate it with anything, Reiki, anything. And God doesn't care. It just wants to share, or what we call the divinity or the godliness or the creator or whatever, universal mind. All right. Any final questions, please? I really appreciate it. And also, please, when the course is announced soon, and I'll be getting with Lynn on that, when the course is announced, take advantage of this. There's a whole lot to this world that you might find very interesting, and that might fit into your life, even if you don't practice working with the healing modalities. It's still a part of your life, and you'll get to perceive in a different way the world around you, the people, and it becomes simple, very simple. Please, any final questions before we...
I have a quick question, or rather a
Raji.
comment. So along with the intuition, what happens to me, and I'm not sure if this happens to other people on this call while they are healing, but of course, I'm not into healing at all. When I'm sitting with a person, or even if it's a stranger, and they come to me with some sort of a random conversation, and they start talking about something they've gone through, I already sense it before they talk about it. It happened very recently. And when they narrate the journey of their grief, I can actually feel the pain they're feeling to such an extent that it takes me a long time it really, really wipes me out. And it takes me a while to understand that this was their grief and not my grief. It's almost like it becomes my own. I am not intending to heal them. Yeah. I think I just sink in someone else's pain.
Yeah. And I teach a course on that.
I see.
I literally teach a course on that. But always remember, we don't have to get the cooties.
Yeah.
Not necessary. Not necessary.
But that happens too. That's normal, or is this just a personality?
It's normal for people that do get cooties, yes.
Okay. Got it.
And that's fine. That's fine. But it's it's not bad, because you're experiencing it because you're growing with it, and so that's good too.
Yeah.
Because your soul is trying to share with you how to how to work that out in life.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, there is an
also-
intention to make them feel better, but in the process, I think
that's nice.
it's difficult to stay away from the physicality of their pain.
Yeah, I teach that in courses. So I can't
That's
get into-
interesting. Yeah.
Yes. It's in almost all my courses. So if you ever have an opportunity, Parachi, please take advantage of it.
Definitely.
All right. And also, when you're with a person, even a stranger, don't get involved.
Thank you for that advice.
It was for you. Don't get involved. Because if you do, then you're involved in the intuition, the healing, nothing will be effective.
Got
I
it.
used to have a teacher and she taught two things. First, energy follows intent, and two, stay out of the drama, which is just what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not only drama, but it's a false empathy. All right. I really want to thank everyone. I hope you all got some information out of this. Please do look forward to the course. And God bless you. And thank you so much for being here. Hey, we actually held this under an hour, Lynn. Aren't you happy? It's supposed to be 20 minutes. Usually they're an hour or 50 minutes or whatever. But all right, my dear friends. 50 minutes, 49 minutes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.